Hello and welcome to 5-Year Club video number 113. Today's topic is making a higher salary, but before that I wanted to just do a little update on the ad experiment from yesterday. I paused it. So what did I spend and what did I get for it? Well, I think I spent around $15, but I think it takes a little while for Google to calculate the bill. Before I paused it, these were roughly the results. I got about 1,100 views according to, whatever they consider a view, and 1 comment and 3 likes and 2 additional subscribers. So, we're talking maybe $6-7 per subscriber. And, if Beat the Bush has, say, 163,000 subscribers, we can very quickly tell that if I was acquiring subscribers... If I was acquiring 163,000 subscribers at a cost of $6 or $7 per subscriber, that's going to cost me over $1 million to catch up with his channel, and that's not going to work for me, especially when that $1 million would be producing a cash flow of, say $2,000 a month from, a business centered around like Patreon or whatever. So, what that tells me is that my cost to acquire a subscriber with this video was way, way too high. It was a 3-minute video. They say the optimal videos are only like 30 seconds. If you don't hook the user in the first 5 seconds, then they're out of there. If you target the wrong group, then more of them are going to be out of there and you're going to be spending money on views that you can't convert. So this is like a $14 lesson that if you don't make a highly optimized ad, you can't expect results that will kind of make sense in the long run. However, if you are one of my 2 most recent subscribers, congratulations! I spent $6 or $7 to get you. I hope this channel is extremely helpful for you. I have no regrets about spending the $6 or $7. I am very likely going to film other different weird ads and spend smaller amounts on them, like $2 per, and just see which, if any of them, convert better than the others. Frankly, just because I think it's amusing, to have to come up with some kind of text, some kind of song and dance, and then see how people respond to it. I don't know. I find that fun. Here are the statistics. So, 1.2 thousand impressions at this point, 700 views, which meant that a lot of people, clicked away before I think the 30-second mark is you have to pass the 30-second mark to be counted as a view. So a lot of people kind of bailed early on. And pretty much everything came from in-stream ads, not in-display ads. I think I got 0 clicks on the in-display ads, which are the, it's like something that would appear in a sidebar that you'd click on. And I was extremely surprised by this statistic, and I'm not sure if I even believe it. They're saying that 33%. Is my cat in the kitchen jumping on things? Mari? I heard some pretty... See, whenever I hear a cat paws hit the floor, I know something's going down. So it's hard for me to believe that 33% of the people watched the whole thing, even if your metric was 33% of the people who passed the 30-second mark watched the whole thing. I'm still and then I only got 2 subscribers? Really? It just doesn't make any sense. If this whole thing is 600 people, I would just expect more. But hey, maybe that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and I need to dig into these statistics more and dig into more online articles and blogs on this whole paid marketing thing. Looks like the banking and finance people saw most of it. Do it yourself, not so much, and cat lovers was very low. I'm disappointed. I would have gotten that cat lover audience. Perhaps, though, it's expensive to bid for this. That could be it, and so it was just cheaper to buy the banking and finance people. Demographics, 18 to 24 and 25 to 34 dominate, so I need to be targeting young people. Here I am, grandpa millennial, talking to all the people 18 to 24, and I need to keep in mind the way that they're viewing things and what they're interested in. if I want to be successful. That's what this is showing me. Oh, I have a stomach ache right now. I'm drinking a smoothie. Let's see if it works out. When you say you're going to do a video every single day, you have to do a video every single day, even if your stomach hurts. Another thing is that mobile phones are by far the most popular platform. And so I need to think more about having a video format that is more mobile friendly, or at least certainly an ad format that's more mobile friendly. And here we have the United States and kind of who is watching the most. What strikes me about this is that like Texas is a big ass state and California is a big ass state. So are there more people coming from Texas, for example, just because it's a huge state? I'm not sure. I don't see much from New York here. I definitely try to target California. Guess I didn't hit it enough. Anyway, that's cool. So I lost a little bit of money. I'm fine with that. This is pointing me towards shorter videos that have more planning, are more emotionally compelling in the first 5 seconds, and probably try a few different ones and see, am I better able to reach people who are age 30 and in debt, or am I better able to reach people who are in the 20s and thinking about tiny homes, or am I better able to reach a cat named Molly? Molly? I don't know. We'll see. But that is my paid ad update. And now we're going to talk about making a high salary. This is not about how to make a high salary. This is about the difference between what I thought it would be like when I was younger and what it's actually been like. And there's a big difference there. Also like to disclaim in the beginning, I don't have the highest salary in the world. I know many people who likely or definitely have a higher income than me. So I'm not like trying to brag here, but I have done statistically well in the US. I make about 3 times what I made after I graduated college, and I make about 10 times what I earned when I was working on things in college. So I have this experience of going from a small income and then having that increase over time and making different kinds of decisions over time, and finally coming to this place where I'm in my 30s and I've thought a lot about money, and I've spent a lot more time studying psychology and happiness, and I have the benefit of the last 10 years of me trying different things with the money, and so that's what I want to share. If you told my 22-year-old self that I was going to make the salary that I have now, he would be like, what? It would blow his mind, which is cool. Okay. Let's talk about the perspective of somebody, and I'm not going to use like my salary numbers here. I don't see the point in it, but I'm just going to try to use numbers that are achievable in Silicon Valley and that illustrate the points I'm trying to make. So I'm going to start out with the perspective of somebody on my $60,000 budget. This is a budget that I introduced 100 videos ago, and it originally represented somebody who was going to retire in 30 years by saving $1,000 a month and working for $60,000 for 30 years. And since the Trump tax cut, actually that savings amount can be bumped up. And so now you would retire in 25 years instead of 30, as long as that tax cut lasts, which it is only supposed to be in place for 8 years. Alrighty, so when you are on my $60,000 budget, you have $500 of fun money per month. And this is money that has to go towards travel. This goes towards eating out. This goes towards buying a Nintendo Switch or any kind of fun thing that you want to do that's just like blow money. That's what the flex budget is for, that $500. For somebody with a flex budget of $500, the $60,000 budget is based on a take-home pay of about $3,500 a month. if that person looks at somebody making $8,000 a month, right? Then you just say, okay, 8,000 minus 3,500, that's $4,500, okay? And if you say $4,500 divided by $500, that's 9, okay? And so in total, if you just counted all that extra money on your $8,000 take-home pay as flex money, you're now talking about having $5,000 of flex money per month instead of $500. And this is the way I thought about it when I was 22, and I thought, holy shit. Like I've got $500 a month I can spend on fun things. This person has $5,000 a month they can spend on fun things. And like when you make $500 a month, or not when you make it, but when you have that amount as like flex money, then you look at certain purchases and you're like, oh man, like that really amazing mountain bike. If I saved up for 6 months and did absolutely nothing fun, then I could buy it. And it's like a 6-month item. And then, when you look at the person making like $5,000, of flex money, you're like, wow, they could go out and buy that mountain bike right now without waiting, and they would have $2,000 left over, which is 4 times what I have for the entire month. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Like, life would be so good if I had 10 times the fun money to spend every month. Oh, I could do everything. All these things that I want to do that I have to wait for when I'm making $500, I don't have to wait for anymore. And I can just go out and party all the time, and it's going to be amazing. And, because of that, it's like, I'm not sure if jealous is the right word. Maybe it is. But basically, like, once you figure out that somebody makes really good money, you're like, oh, I want to figure out how to do that. I want to get there. But this view of a higher income is not the way that things actually work out. So I want to go into detail now about the way that things actually work out for most people when they earn more money. Number one, that original $60,000 budget had you living with an $800 a month housing budget. And in the Bay Area, and certainly in San Jose, that buys you like a bedroom, maybe in somebody's house. It doesn't buy you a studio. It doesn't buy you a single bedroom apartment. And so you're going to want to upgrade housing when you make more money. $800 is an appropriate housing budget for somebody who's making $3,500 a month. $2,000, right, 25% of take-home pay, that's Dave Ramsey standard, would be appropriate for somebody making $8,000 a month. So now you're going to increase your housing expense from $800 to $2,000. That's $1,200 a month. Of that $5,000, poof, it just goes away. Another thing people are going to commonly upgrade is their car. You're going to be a baller. You're going to be in your 20s, and you're going to want a newer, better car. And you, because you're in your 20s, are likely not going to buy that car for cash. Not because Lewis recommends you not buy the car with cash. I recommend you buy the car with cash, but just because these are the types of things that people statistically do in America. So now you've got a car payment, $500 a month, easy, right? So that's another $500 out of that $5,000. Poof, it's gone. So $1,700 of that $5,000 is not spent on fun. It's spent on upgrading these fixed costs. And I gotta say, your nicer car is still going to be sitting in traffic for 50 minutes on your way to Mountain View and back. And that is still going to enrage you as you grasp that steering wheel that is rapidly depreciating in value. All right, but we still have $3,300 left over, and that's not too bad. If only the car and the home were the only things, I said the word only too many times, that you upgraded. But you're going to have some cognitive dissonance if you are paying $2,000 a month for, or more, frankly, for luxury digs in the Silicon Valley. You're not going to want the same IKEA furniture. You're going to want to fill that place with better, nicer furniture. You're going to want to buy a couch. And over time, as you stay in your larger place, you're going to feel like, oh, well, now that I'm in a larger place, I have room to get all these things that I've always wanted. So you're going to get a sound system. You're going to get bookshelves. You're going to get multiple non-portable gaming systems and all kinds of fun stuff. And what you're not going to realize as you buy this stuff is the cost that it has to you, because you're still thinking impulsively early in your life. You're not thinking programmatically. You're not thinking like systematically in terms of like, okay, I only actually have time to interact with, say, 100 items a day. What are those 100 items what are those 100 items going to be? And why? And what's the priority ranking? Nobody does that. But that's how life actually turns out. You don't interact with all 2,000 things you own. You interact with like 100 of them. So, on this higher salary, you buy more and more stuff over time. And when that new video game comes out, you buy it. When that new video game system comes out, you buy it. And again, this is $5,000 a month of flex money, not $500, which means that you can buy all this stuff and go on a better vacation. You can buy all this stuff and eat out more often, have sushi. And as you acquire this stuff, moving is going to become more of a pain in the ass. And you're not going to want to move, which just kind of encourages you to accept those rent increases and decreases your ability to negotiate as effectively for the best value per dollar housing costs. You're also going to spend more of your life and more of your time managing all this stuff you have, organizing the bookshelf, cleaning all this stuff, repairing electronics or sending them in for repair when they break, upgrading the stuff because, like, you know, it's been 3 years since your last speaker system and you know, you bought the first one used at a discount and now you want more bass from the front speakers. So you're going to spend another couple thousand on bigger cabinets for your speaker system. I'm saying this because this is exactly what I did. And, I mean, I like my speaker system a lot, but I do realize that if I had to move right now into a more flexible, smaller situation, I've got like 2 subwoofers and 7 speakers that I would have to find a place for, and that would either be a fixed cost storing that stuff for a few $100s a month or something else. The other thing about it is that $5,000 of flex spending means that you're only saving per month the same amount of money as the guy who was living on that $60K budget. And you're doing this while you are generating more fixed costs in your life. Eventually, you may have a family and you may have daycare. And you have to keep paying for that daycare. Which means that if you lose your job, you're under stress. So it's kind of crazy, but it's true. These things that you choose to spend money on then have consequences in the future for your flexibility. And that causes you stress. And I talked to somebody once about why they didn't just make a ton of money working in finance on Wall Street, and they told me this was the reason, because you can get a $300,000 job on Wall Street doing spreadsheets and figuring out financial stuff, and that sounds like a ton of money every year. But you get into these fixed costs of private school, these fixed costs of vacationing in certain places, these fixed costs of having dinner with certain people. And then you can't retire on the same budget that $60,000 a year person could have retired on. You're not saving the money to do it. So retirement's not even appealing because you'd have to cut this flex budget by so much that all those friends and all that fun and all these ways of living that you would learn to do, those are all going to be cut out, and that sucks. So that's the other kind of downside of thinking about this situation as $5,000 of flex spending now instead of $500. What I've found over time is that the stuff that brings me joy, real joy, it doesn't cost a whole lot of money. But I don't have as much time to spend on it, to participate in it, as I would like. And if I had kept up the behavior that I did in my 20s, when for a couple years I wasn't saving anything at all, I would never have the time in my life to do the stuff I enjoy, because I would be working right up until the point that I got too sick to work or died. This isn't to say that making more money, that, going from X to 3X since I graduated college hasn't come with any advantages. There have definitely been some things that I bought and some vacations I went on and some things that I was able to do for other people that I'm really happy about and I don't regret at all. And the other nice thing, I guess, about having that high income was that when I decided to change my financial life around, that income was a big fire hose that I could use to put out the relatively small financial fire that I had set for myself in my 20s. And that was certainly a huge advantage. Another thing is that, I live on that $60,000 budget now or less, and just like the knowledge that I can spend an extra $1,000 in any given month beyond my budget that I'm already happy with. I'm already happy with my budget, but that I could just whip out $1,000 and do what I want with it. That's pretty awesome. And sooner or later, things come up and I can take advantage of that. I took a trip to the Pacific Northwest with my best friend last fall that was amazing. There were just a ton of amazing restaurants, and we went to Vancouver and we hiked some absolutely beautiful trails, and that trip would have been out of the question if I was living on the $60,000 budget. But having said all that, when I look at my happiness level for the past, since I graduated college, one of the happiest times during that whole 11 years, I guess it was now, was the month I had after college in Berkeley before I got my first job. So I wasn't making anything. I was trying to live on as little as possible. I was definitely looking for jobs. I think I applied to 50 different positions at that point. But what made that month so awesome was that being in Berkeley, I had the time to hang out with other people my age. And just being able to hang out with people and chill with people for 30 days straight without the responsibility to go into a job where I could, I had to apply for jobs, but if I wanted to sit down and write a poem, I could sit down and write a poem. I was living cheaply, a $500 attic. I rode a bike, so I didn't have a car or car insurance, so I didn't have that many expenses. And, when I was 22, my stomach didn't hurt. I was younger, my brain was faster, and my body was caliente. And that's not a money thing. I got a lot of that stuff for free from youth, but it is a time thing. I had time for that month just to hang around Berkeley when I was in my early 20s. Great. It's easy when you see higher salaries to have the same reaction I had when I was in my 20s, which is my God, that would be so amazing. But the reason why I had that reaction, and I think the reason why people have that reaction in general, is because it's easy to not do any analytical thinking and to simply assume that 5,000 extra dollars, or I guess it's only 4,500 extra dollars, but $5,000 of flex money. It's easy to assume that that much money is going to be used in some way, because money can be used in so many ways to fix the things that are wrong in your life. But the truth is that there are a lot of things that are holding you back from being as happy as you could be that cannot be fixed by money, not in the long run. You can use money sometimes to paper over them in the short run, but when that money, but it is only papering over them. And so even when you're spending this money to try and hide those problems, they still come up and recur in your life, and you're not forced to actually face them. Many times what we need to do to be happier is less glamorous than spending money flying first class to a tropical island. It's something more basic, like get more exercise, attend a relationship class with the person that we love, or what's another good one? There are some hobbies like making these videos that I enjoy, but it is work and it's not always fun. But in the long run, I get satisfaction out of doing it. So it doesn't cost me any money to make a video like this. But it's definitely something I've learned over the past 2 years that I needed to start doing. All right, so what is my advice? What would my advice be to my old self, given what I've learned about making a higher income in the last 11 years? Well, number one, I would say figure out that budget early on. Figure out a budget that includes the basics: food, housing, electricity, all that good stuff. And that includes them while being efficient, which means like you don't need to spend $100 per month on your cell phone bill for unlimited service. You can spend $50 a month on your cell phone bill for 4 gigabytes, and that's going to get you 95% of the value. So make an efficient budget. Spend only what you need in these areas to get 80% of the happiness, and then don't worry about it. Once you have that budget and you've been living on that budget, I use the word realize here, but I'm not sure that realize can cover it, because I didn't feel a lot of these things until after I had made mistakes around them. So sometimes I look at people and I'm like, I can tell you to do this, but I know that you're only going to feel it once you've fucked it up. But anyway, number two is realizing that when you exceed this efficient basic budget, in most cases, you're not going to get lasting happiness from that excess. And more often than not, that excess spending is going to fill your life with 25 boxes of crap in your kitchen, like I have right now. And that's books that I don't have time to read. And it's a lot of toys and stuff that I don't have time to use, but now I'm going to have to spend my time selling them. I have to spend my time maintaining them. I had to spend that awful weekend moving them out of the storage unit. And, the stuff can also come with obligations that you don't want to spend your time on or participate in. Let me think of a good one. The obligations are really around like maintenance. Like I bought a generator for Burning Man, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And I was too lazy to flush out the gas lines. So the gas lines just kind of like rusted and got fucked up, and it's still sitting out there, I guess. Or maybe it's either sitting out there or I pawned it off on somebody on Craigslist. I don't actually remember which one. That's bad. I don't even know if there's a generator on my porch. Yeah. So anyway, it comes with obligations that you don't want to spend your time doing, like flushing gas lines. And you don't really embrace those enough up front for the pain they're going to cause you in the long run. And once you understand that this excess consumption is really not going to contribute to your long-term happiness, and in fact, it's kind of going to drag you down, then you're like, well, what is going to contribute to my long-term happiness? And you got to go study it as if it's math or social studies or English or Russian history or whatever it is. You've got to, read the psych books, experiment with doing different things in your own life in terms of like, cutting out certain budgets, spending your time on different hobbies in different ways, trying some charitable giving. And throughout these different things, you develop opinion about what makes somebody happy. I think an excellent place to start is the Harvard Grant Study of Adult Development. There is a book called Triumphs of Experience, The Men of the Harvard Grant Study. I think it's an excellent book when we're looking at happiness in adulthood. And its conclusion is that warm relationships are the entirety of happiness in adulthood. So seek out warm relationships and figure out how to develop warm relationships. There's a satisfaction that comes when you really understand emotionally that spending more money won't make you any happier. Because what it necessarily means is that there is something that you could be doing right now that's accessible, that's not a $100 million yacht, to be happier. And once you're convinced that that's true, then you don't feel trapped or stuck by the amount of money that you have. You know that you're only limited by what you are willing to do, how you are willing to plan and spend your time. And, well, then you plan and spend your time in ways that you think will make you happier. And I got to say, generally speaking, it works. The third piece of advice I would say is create your financial independence plan now and start crunching the numbers. And have those numbers in your mind when you get the raise in the future. And if you do that, then you can phrase the raise to yourself not in terms of the extra fun money you're going to spend every month to try and chase happiness. Instead, you can phrase it to yourself in terms of, this is how much more of my time in my life I'm going to spend doing whatever I want. I'm just going to give you a quick example. I did this using the ADP take-home pay calculator I searched for on Google. If you get a raise from $60,000 a year to $90,000 a year, this is in California as a single person, then you're going to be going from $43,000, $680 take-home pay to $61,344 of take-home pay. If we assume that you are staying on my $2,400 a month budget, then your retirement timeline goes from 25 years to 15 years. So you just bought 10 years of your time. That's what that raise means, is that 10 years of your life were just given to you. That's huge. That's a whole decade. If we make 120, then your entire career would be 11 years if you're staying on that $60,000 a year budget. But let's be real. You're probably not going to be at 120 when you first start working, maybe if you're a computer science major, but a lot of people will need some years of experience to build up to 120. But those experience years come with some advantages. One advantage is that you are used to living on a modest budget by the time you get there. And so the things you do to live on $60,000 a year budget, you do without thinking. The groceries that you buy, the trips that you regularly that you go on, the kind of hiking stuff that you do, the hobbies that you have, all of it's already kind of locked into place, and it's actually the least amount of effort is to not spend the money. because you just keep doing that same stuff that you've already been doing. Also, if we just say that you spent 2 years making $60,000, 2 years making $90,000, and now you start making $120,000, you have $95,000 saved from those first 4 years. And if you start making $120,000 when you already have $95,000 in the bank, you only have 9 more years left of working before you're financially independent. That's only 13 total years of working time, which means that you can start working at 22, and by 35, you own the rest of your life. If we max your retirement accounts with that money, then we're not going to be paying taxes on it up front. And I think I just pretended that of that $95,000, $60,000 would have been available for retirement accounts, and I divided that by 0.7. I just pretended that you would save 30% on that money. And so basically by avoiding these taxes, you've only got 8.5 years left instead of 9 years. So you're actually going to finish like 6 months before 35. And I have not even considered the investment gains. If you had invested money for those 4 years in a rising market, which it has been for the last 8 or 9, then you're going to have more than $95,000, which means that you are going to have even fewer than 8.5 years left to work at this point. If you find a partner, then your budget will become more efficient, and together you can save more, and your retirement plan accelerates. If you find more career advancement beyond 120, or you find a side hustle that makes money, this plan accelerates. And let's just look at the scenario where you haven't even reached financial independence yet. We said that you've been working for 4 years. Let's say you only work for another 5. And then what position are you going to be in? Well, you would have spent 9 years working total, and you're going to have $340,000 of savings. And that's not including any investment gains. $340,000 of savings could produce a $1,000 cash flow easily every month. What could you do with $1,000 of cash coming from nowhere? Well, you could certainly take a year off and just think about if you want to make some changes in your life. And this is before you're even 30. This is in your late 20s. You can just take a year off. So that gives you options. And that's the reason why number 3 is there. The reason why I want you to plan the financial independence scenarios before you make the money is because I want you to understand the options that the money represents, and that it doesn't just represent a nicer car or a nicer place to live or better food. It represents some seriously appealing options before you even turn 30. The way this process works is that time is going to happen no matter what. So we're going to march on saving some kind of money until we get to the retirement date. And the retirement date stays fixed until we earn more money. So here we are going through life, and then we earn more money. Bam! This retirement date moves forward. This financial independent date moves forward. And then we keep plopping. And then we make a little bit more money. Bam! And then we keep saving. And at some point, we're going to meet in the middle. And what we want to do is work on, both sides of that. We want to work on our current behavior so that we keep saving, so that this hand stays on track. And we also want to work on our skills game so that this other side moves in faster. And then we basically just want to clap as soon as possible. Realize where salary will get you and where it won't. When we look at rich people, and by rich people, I mean people with like a net worth of like $10 million or more and who are not even 50. So they're still adults, they're not old people, and they've got some serious money. I want to be upfront and clear that this definition of financial independence and rich does not come from the scenario I've discussed above. It doesn't come from somebody who's making $120,000 even for their entire career. It comes from people who are excellent at financial offense. They pursue opportunities that get them $5 million at once, not opportunities that get them $120,000 a year. To get these opportunities, they started businesses. They got equity in companies. They studied leadership to get into executive positions. And they had to work nights and weekends to get all of the freaking work done to make those businesses successful. To build the business, they had to network relentlessly. You would not believe their Christmas card list. And you also wouldn't believe some of the risks these people took. The reason why I want to call that out specifically is because a lot of people will, look at my video and figure this out on their own, and then they'll think to themselves like, oh man, well, I don't want to make this deep of a sacrifice if I'm not going to be like Bill Gates someday. And I think that misses the point. There are too many people who phrase life as or choices. I'm either going to be Bill Gates or I'm going to live modestly now. I'm either going to spend all my money and go for super risky opportunities, or I'm going to live modestly on a budget now. And life doesn't need to be an or. Life more often needs to be an and. You can live modestly and figure out how to network. You can work a full-time job and you can grow your skills in different areas. Just because we start out on a $60,000 budget and we're only saving $1,000 a month, and the original plan has us retiring in 25 years. Paranoid about cats. That doesn't mean that we're not going to be Bill Gates someday. It doesn't mean that we can't study leadership. It doesn't mean that we can't study, tax write-offs and how to start a business and risk-taking and reading the biographies of people that we respect. In fact, by building up these savings, we're going to give ourselves more flexibility to take the big risks that we need to take to achieve those higher goals. So that's it for this video. The difference between the way that I viewed a high income when I was in my early 20s and the way I view it now. Yes, it comes with advantages, but no, it does not solve all your problems. There are other things you need to do to solve those problems. I've discussed some of them. And, high salary is not a bad thing. It buys our freedom. It's a good thing. But just don't get confused about kind of what it's going to get you. All right, that's it for 5-Year Club video number 113. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great evening.